Hi, I'm Dennis Weiss for Eagle Communications. Welcome to our town, a very special our town because we're in my favorite place and we're in Karl Weissenbach's favorite place, the director of the Eisenhower Presidential Library Museum Boyhood Home et al. And we're in the office with Ike's picture on the wall. Always so proud to be here, Karl.
It's so wonderful to have you here and all the support you give the Presidential Library every year as well. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Well, Sam has a 3-page agenda for us. I'm debating whether on camera we just say we're never going to make it through. And
I doubt it, but you know we can always give it a college try, right?
Okay. All right. So the essence of the agenda is this is 2016, and there's a lot of stuff going on at the Eisenhower Presidential Library, and it's all terrific.
I think it's all terrific. What we got going shows that we are diversified, that we have different types of programs for different groups and so forth. But there's a commonality in that is that, you know, it's all about education. It's all about Eisenhower and what he did at the local level, at the national level, at the international level. And so that makes it exciting to attend these programs because they're going to impact the types of program. Deal with elections, for example. It deals with school kids coming to the library. It deals with other public programs that are too many to name, even in this particular document, right? But it just shows how we continue to be active, thinking out of the box, and creating programs that matter to the public, that the public should know about. So it's been sometimes it can be a challenge, you know, but at the same time, though, it's rewarding that we can actually put these type of programs together, especially on a limited budget, right?
Right.
But yet we are able to succeed, I think, in what our mission is and so forth. And in fact, this past year, we had over 187,000.
I heard that. That's an astounding number.
Well, 2 years ago, we had 202,000.
Yeah.
So when you look at where we've been and where we are now in the last 20 years, I think the Presidential Library is doing really good, especially because there's always a program here for someone. And so we always manage to draw people, whether it be from Kansas, Abilene, or from Hamburg, Germany. It doesn't matter. We get the people to come to the Presidential Library to attend these events.
You'll get a kick out of this. So I picked up my son from a play practice over here at Great Plains Theater, and he gets in the car, and I said, "So how's school today?" "Great, Dad." He says, "Good news." He said, "We're going to the Eisenhower Library to do research for a project," and he proceeds to tell me the topic that he chose. And it's all about Eisenhower, and the geography is the Middle East. And he sat there and nonstop was telling me how Eisenhower is still relevant to what's going on there today.
Exactly.
And how excited he was to be able to come here and do that. And I think, job well done, Mr. Weissenbach. You have been able to connect your institution that you're in charge of to the next generation in a way that excites them.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's you know, it's always great when you've got you know kids coming to the Presidential Library and see them working on their projects and talking about the projects. You know, they take a lot of things. I think they've taken a lot of things for granted, but when they come here, they realize there's another world out there with issues that have to be addressed by the president. Right? So I'm just pleased that we have so many school groups coming to the library to learn. Boy Scouts, and it's great the number that we have, them here at the Presidential Library going to these various programs that we offer. Yeah. So education is important and it's reflected in the offerings that we have this year. Still working on it. It takes a while to put together a public program, especially the potential political programs, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's fun. It's fun talking to people on the phone and letting them know what we're doing and working through Samantha's office, for example, to work with additional tools to get people to come to the Presidential Library. It's just such a great place to work and get an opportunity to meet great people and wonderful people such as yourself here, who's been such a great friend of the Presidential Library.
It's such a privilege. I think that's the first thing I said sitting in this chair. Such a privilege to be here, and it is every time I come.
For me too. Yeah, it's a privilege for me to be here. It's not my office. It's just the Eisenhower office, and every time I walk in here, I realize, how important it is to remember that. Considering all the things he did for his country. I mean, a true American hero.
Absolutely. How long have we been doing these, Samantha? 4, 5 years, 6?
Yeah.
Time goes by like this, doesn't it?
It will, yeah.
We've been doing these programs focusing on Eisenhower for that number of years. And every time I come here, Sam dumps 3 pages of fresh things in front of us.
How do you think I feel every day? Yeah.
But this is good. So here it says 2016, what's in store? Well, in your exhibit, you're wrapping up World War II. And that has been going on for 1.5 years, 3 years now? 3 years?
Yeah, I think it's been highly successful. The thing I like about this particular exhibit in its current phase, right, is that a lot of people don't know what the post history is. And not just Americans, but also Germans. In fact, when I was recently in Germany, right, they didn't know that Eisenhower, people I was talking with didn't know that Eisenhower, was the first military governor of Germany, and the importance of that because of all the issues he had to deal with, at that time. Well, that is, you'll learn more about it in our exhibits, whether it be over in the museum building or this top floor of the library building, where we focus on not just how the war ended, the military aspect, but we also look at what happened to displaced persons, for example. World War II, there was so many millions of people displaced, because of the war because of the war itself, right? Doesn't that remind you of another situation going on at the moment?
It certainly does.
And in my opinion, I think we can actually learn, how did Eisenhower and the military command, deal with, with the issues of defeating the Hitler regime and so forth, right? And it's really interesting to learn what happens in each country at the tail end of the war, the post-war era, and so forth. And I think it's great that we can put on that exhibit and provide a lot of detail. So if you've been coming to the Presidential Library to see every aspect of the exhibit from, I think, the last 3 years, you learn something new. You're not just learning about, some particular battle, but you also learn more about the combatants, why they were in that situation, and again, the post-war. And yet, you also have remarkable artifacts about the war, fun things, right?
I heard you have a new pet.
I do, Zuku, right? You have to come to the library to learn more about him, but he's over in the museum building on exhibit.
And it was a gift from?
It was a gift from Zukov to Eisenhower.
Okay.
It's a polar bear rug, right? I know. Now, don't call me complaining, but that it was a gift. This was the era at the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's a nice big rug, and the face of the polar bear is you're worried about he's going to jump out and eat you alive, right? But those are the kind of things that we have in the exhibit. But it's also a testimony to the curatorial staff.
Yeah.
That they were able to go to various archives, museums around the world to bring these kind of items to Abilene. That's why I always say you don't have to go to Washington to go to a great museum.
Absolutely.
You've got one in your own backyard, and it's big, and it's got different issues from the war era, but also from the presidency, and so forth. So it's remarkable that we've been able to put together an exhibit with world-class artifacts. In fact, we just send someone down to Dallas to get additional items, right? So I think if you get a chance to spend some time in the museum building or the second floor of the library, read some of the items about the items, I think it's really amazing how, 2 or 3 people were able to put together this great museum. Of course, it had the archival staff involved, in addressing questions about who did what and when and so forth. And that's also reflected in a lot of the artifacts and background information. Right? So I'm proud of it. I think it's a unique exhibit and so forth. And of course, we've had 3.5 years or so to display it, right? And I think now you're seeing the tail end of it. But it really is worth your time and effort to come out to the library to see it.
People are visual creatures. We say this
Right.
on Eagle all the time. That's why we're here with a camera, not just a microphone.
Right.
People relate to pictures. When you think of Aunt Betty, you see Aunt Betty, and
Right,
in your
exactly,
mind.
yeah.
And what an opportunity of educational learning by bringing young people to this institution and walking through the exhibits, looking at them, which they will remember, reading about them, and as my son did to me in the car, generating a conversation.
Right.
What a tremendous opportunity to talk about it. And you alluded to the big things at the end of the war, and my gosh, that set up all of modern history. The end of World War II set up all of the sequence of events that we are living today.
Right.
And Eisenhower was there for all of that, from the first military governor of Germany up through implementing what we do with all of those displaced persons. That had never been done in history before, where a conquering army took care of the population and made an active attempt to restore civil society. Never been done, and Ike was in the middle of that.
He was in the middle of that, right. And I think, when you go to the exhibit and you also read about the Eisenhower era, military and post-military era, I think there's consequences for this particular decade, not to get into politics, right? But he had to deal with refugees and so forth, which is not an easy task. I mean, that's, it can be very difficult. But he faced those kind of issues, and he faced, what he felt was a situation in 1950 where he needed to run for presidency, right? Because he wanted to maintain, NATO, and
Right.
NATO was organized a little bit earlier in the late 40s, right? But he felt very strongly about that, and he ran against a fellow Republican, who some people
Right.
thought had the election sewed up, right? But it shows you how he wanted to adhere to peace. He knew about war, and he wanted to go the peaceful route, right?
We think of his poster and quote that you see around a lot today, and paraphrasing, but and only a soldier can know the horror of war and want to avoid it in the way that a soldier who's been there can. And
Right.
I heard that from my uncle.
Yeah,
I heard that from my father.
Yeah, regardless of whether you are in Abilene, Kansas, or in England.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we all want that, and he wanted it in the most way, because he witnessed war firsthand. He understands war. He understands the reason for wars and how to conduct war. But he also, I thought, he had a sharp political mind too.
He
Even
did.
though it may not be always reflected in some of his military actions, but I think that's important for people to learn about as well.
Another thing that's connected to Eisenhower is 8 years of peace and prosperity. He was very proud of that. We had in the Why Like Ike series that we're filming here with some of your staff that we put on television. They've been fascinating for me, by the way, so thank you for facilitating that happening. That's been great for us. Well, viewers enjoy it, and it's highly educational. But one of the things that was commented on is that 8 years of peace and prosperity. Well, in today's topic, in the end of your World War II exhibit here, that 8 years of peace and prosperity during two terms for Eisenhower as president started at the end of World War II. Those efforts didn't just pop up when he became president. That was an entire chain of intellectual thought followed with planning and action from the time he was General Eisenhower to military governor to supporting NATO as a defensive peace bulwark between us and war.
Exactly, you hit it right on the nail.
Yeah. You're kind of a NATO expert.
Yeah.
You know a little bit about that subject, don't you?
Yes, I do, yes. I was in Brussels at one time, and had a chance to meet colleagues that organize papers, declassify papers, and so forth. So there's a lot of interest there. Yeah.
That's. I am excited about my son coming here, and I'm going to do everything I can to expand that opportunity of him appreciating the library and who Eisenhower was. But I think the reason we set and film these programs is it's not just my son. Anybody's son or daughter can have the exact same experience.
Exactly. And that's why, we appreciate funding from the foundation to bring in groups from other parts of the state or Midwest. For some, it's a long drive, but I think it's worth it. I think it's great that they can come to the library. And
it's not as far as driving to Brussels.
Well, that's true.
Or Munich. Or any of the other places this history happened.
That's right. Exactly. And it's just so fun to work here. And I learned, we talk about, groups coming in to learn about Eisenhower, right? But I learn something new about the guy every day.
Yeah, that's a tremendous statement.
Yeah, a lot of reference mail goes out from people inquiring about Eisenhower, what he did and so forth. I like to use those responses from staff for my own good, so that I can learn more about the president, so that when someone asks a question about the Eisenhower era, I can at least try to give an intelligent answer. Yeah. And some of it's very complicated, but we have a top-notch staff that does the research and so forth, so it's great.
I was giving your curator a hard time when we were walking into one of the filming of Why Like Ike, and I stopped at the weapons display that was new there, and I'm looking at it, and I said, William, I said, do you realize what this rifle is here? And he goes, he says, that's not my favorite part of the museum. He says, why, is that something special? And I go, I'll bet there's less than a handful of these in the world.
Yeah.
And it's a nice one. And so then we went in and we talked about things that about Eisenhower that I had no clue about, but William did, and he brought it to me, and what an educational opportunity it was for me to hear from him. But I thought it was kind of interesting, and I could teach the curator a thing or two.
There you go.
Well, history lives in all of us, right, Karl?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, well, Sam told us to make sure we talk about the Kansas Town Hall series, and I think this is how I was introduced to the library, frankly. I think I came to a Kansas Town Hall, and we met and we decided to do this, and this is how we got started coming here. Yeah. But you have the Attorney General, Derek Schmidt, on March the 22nd, Rights and Responsibilities of Citizenship, and We the People, Civic Education in Kansas. Gosh, what a great topic.
Yeah, and we're able to do these programs, and we don't have them all listed, right? Partnerships. We can't do them with partnerships. For example, we have a great partnership with K-State, several different departments, Kansas Wesleyan in Salina, both Democrats and Republican parties, because we want to also eventually, have nonpartisan debate. In other words, there have to be people from different parties at the event where they can debate the issues of the day and so forth. And so, having these partnerships allow us to do these kind of programs. So, we're working with them now, to address issues and dates and so forth. So I think it's an interesting political year already, right? But I think we're going to, we believe strongly in educating people about why they vote, why they should vote, and so forth.
And well done on that topic. We're out of time as usual. It goes blinko. So here's what we're going to do. We don't want Sam mad at us that we didn't get these three. So we're going to talk about the Royer Film Festival real quickly, which is in March, the 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th. And Eisenhower's Easter egg roll that is really unique to Abilene, Kansas, and a way to open up the grounds of the Presidential Library to the community, as well as continue a tradition Eisenhower started. Symphony at Sunset, one of my favorites. I hope the military band's going to be there this year. Oh, they're terrific. June 4th, it's always the first Saturday in June. And as Sam always says, you can't move D-Day.
No, you can't move D-Day, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Carl, boy, I appreciate the chance to come and visit with you again. So cool to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here, and it is cool to be here.
Absolutely.
It really is.
Be cool for you to be here too. So just drive on down, across the tracks, come in, and it's amazing the history that's here for us to share in Abilene, Kansas, America. We're glad Karl Weissenbach, the director, lets us come in, and his staff prepares these things for us to see and to talk about. We hope you come here and take advantage of them. For Eagle Communications, I'm Dennis Weiss. This is my friend Karl Weissenbach.
Thank you. Thank you for watching.
We're glad to be here. You have a great day.